Do you believe that your thoughts can tell the future? Whatever answer you just gave, whether yes or no, the answer is no. Your thoughts cannot tell the future. And I'm going to add a very simple, open minded caveat. If, in any case, you were able to intuitively know the future, it would be from a detached emotional state. It would not be fear induced. It would not be doomsday, analyzed, thought produced. It would be an intuitive, sort of off the whim thing that probably had no emotional effect because you have no attachment to the outcome whatsoever. Now, let's get back to reality. Do you believe that your thoughts can tell the future? You know the answer is no. So, still, why do you let them bother you? And I know you're probably pondering and reflecting upon that question. And you may be curious yourself, why do you still let thoughts bother you if you know that they're irrational, if you know that they're silly, if you know that they really shouldn't have any effect on your life whatsoever? It's because we don't ask ourselves that particular question enough times. When a thought comes up, like a fly on our car windshield, we can observe it, we can watch it, we can look at it, we can label it. But do we really think that that thought, whatever fear it's saying, whatever doomsday tragedy it's looking to convey to us, do we believe truly that that thought is telling us the future? Of course not. So now it's about creating a system in place and a detachment from that voice in our mind. Whenever that thought comes up, you can even repeat the mantra, my thoughts don't know the future. Even if something bad were to happen in the future, the chances are you the chances of you being able to predict that tragedy are pretty much impossible, if not certainly impossible. And I'd like to add that we're not talking about, you think your partner's cheating on you because of a certain series of evidence and behaviors. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about completely irrational, random, doomsday thoughts and fears that have taken over your life and paralyzed you from moving forward. And the way out is a detachment from that inner voice as a sense of identity. What your thoughts are, and what overthinkers and even sufferers of OCD miss, is your thoughts are a biological reaction happening inside of your body. Just like your digestive system produces gas and you could fart or burp, the same thing is happening in your mind when thoughts arise to the surface and are met with your awareness. Imagine you're putting a pot of water to boil, and this is representative of your mind. And when your mind gets to interacting with its own system and algorithm in place, when things start moving and connecting and it's trying to adapt and serve you in the best way it can, that's the water coming to boil. And that's the activity of the mind, is that boiling water. Still, it's not us. We are the one that can observe this boiling water. We are the ones that can turn the temperature down when we stop fueling it with fire. So when this pot of water comes to boil, thoughts are like the sparks of water that jump from out that boiling water and hit you on the arm and spark you and burn you and cause you to have a reaction. Does it make more sense to turn down the heat of the boiling pot of water, or to put a lid on the boiling water, or to blame the sparks for flying and trying to investigate why the sparks are flying from this bubbling pot of water? The brain produces thoughts. It's called brain activity. There's neurons firing in the mind. That's the way our brains operate. That's the way it's always going to operate. So the answer is not to shut up the thoughts. The answer is not to never boil water again or be scared of water coming to a boil. The answer is turning the temperature down. And how we turn the temperature down is we stop listening to the thoughts. We stop taking them so seriously. When you take your thoughts seriously, especially irrational ones that give you doomsday scenarios and extremely far-fetched hypothetical fears, when you take them seriously, what this shows from an outside point of view is a lack of psychological understanding. And what this shows from a more compassionate, sort of human point of view is that you are still letting your emotions attach to these thoughts. And you're failing to realize that these thoughts are not a representation of who you are, but rather they're a representation of the emotions you are avoiding and the emotions you don't want to feel. There is a strong correlation between overthinkers and OCD sufferers who deal with bad thoughts. And there's a strong correlation between them and the relationship that they have with fear. Because fear is such a powerful emotion and it's something that rules in a variety of different ways. But specifically with overthinking and OCD, what we're scared of is number one, we're scared of whatever that thought says. We're scared of that happening. That's number one. So, how do we treat that? We detach from thoughts. We stop believing them. And to build the practice of disbelief, you just have to stop engaging with them. That's it. Don't fight them. Let them show up. Let them come. Them speaking, them saying anything in your mind isn't going to change reality in any way. It isn't going to pull any events or doomsday scenarios towards you. That's just more OCD. That's more overthinking talking. You let the thoughts exist and you don't engage with them. Like a scab on your arm, you don't pick it, you don't itch it, you just let it be. If you let it be, and if you keep on practicing not engaging with them, they will eventually slow down and eventually you will receive much, much less of those thoughts. Number two, you have to build a tolerance to feeling fear. It's okay to feel fear. It's okay to feel scared and uncomfortable. You have to allow yourself to feel these emotions. If you don't allow yourself to feel scared, if you don't allow yourself to feel fear, there's going to be a variety of thoughts that come sort of notifying you and triggering you into feeling that fear because you're suppressing it. So sit with that fear and most importantly, sit with the unknowingness because a reassurance from an imaginary danger is actually like a drug and it makes your overthinking and even OCD much worse. We suffer now because we've been addicted and we've become attached to this cycle of reassurance from imaginary dangers. There's multiple ways, there's multiple ways we can get reassurance. There's a thought that enters your mind. It's irrational, it's ridiculous, it's stupid, it's silly. You know you shouldn't be taking it seriously, and for some reason it's still affecting you. So you go about a series of actions that you think can logically disprove the thought and provide you some sort of comfort. So there's often layer one. Layer one is you disprove the thought yourself. You come up with logical reasons why this doomsday scenario can't happen. You come up with 100 logical ways of which it's impossible for that doomsday scenario to happen. But of course, in the back of your mind, you know that nothing is ever completely 100 million% certain. So eventually, this temporary comfort that you've created through logic, eventually this disintegrates. And now you're met with phase number two, in which you're seeking reassurance from environments and even from people. So you'll ask a friend or maybe a therapist or a teacher, whatever it may be, you'll ask them to tell you that this thing isn't going to happen. And, if someone isn't sort of experienced in psychology and overthinking and OCD, they'll give you that reassurance. They'll say, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's silly. Of course it's not going to happen. That'll hold you over for a little bit as well. And then eventually that will disintegrate. So then you'll move to the environmental reassurance, in which now you're trying to manipulate all of the environments that you encounter in your life so that that fear, that ridiculous fear that you have, it doesn't come true. And you see, the deeper we go trying to get reassurance, trying to get temporary comfort from an imaginary danger, from a fear that we deep down know is not real, this is fuel to the addiction, to the fire of overthinking. This is giving so much energy and power to the fear, to those thoughts. And that's why they come back. What's going to happen is you're going to move through these different phases of reassurance and you're going to keep going deeper and deeper into the hole until there's nothing left. Until there's nothing left and you can't even leave your home, for example. Or if your irrational fear is planes, you'll never go on another trip again. You have to drive everywhere, take a boat everywhere, even when it makes absolutely zero sense. So what's the answer? No reassurance. No reassurance. Sit with the dark, unbearable discomfort of not knowing. Sit with the unknown. It's going to hurt. You might feel it in your chest, in your throat, in your face, in your belly, in your legs. No matter where you feel it, just let it be. Let it be. All you have to do to be free of those thoughts is sit with that fear and discomfort without engaging with those thoughts, without trying to prove them wrong. Don't try, sorry, don't try to prove the thoughts wrong. Why would you? You're arguing with an irrational force. Logic does not break the cycle of irrational thoughts. Your brain doesn't care about logic. It cares about your reactions. It cares about your emotional investment. There's nothing going on in the outside world as a result of your mind and your engagement with thoughts. You're not pulling in reality. You're not making any situation more likely as a result of your irrational and uncontrolled thoughts. You're not making that doomsday scenario any more likely. No. And if you need to overcome that hurdle of realizing that your reality isn't being shaped by your thoughts, but it is being shaped by your actions, your avoidant actions are making an impact on your life. The actions and choices that you make in fear do have an effect on your life. It's not our engagement with thoughts. Even if you have 100 million of those thoughts a day, it's not going to affect your reality. What's going to affect your reality is the choices you make because of fear and the actions you take because of fear. Your avoidance is going to close you off from opportunities. Your avoidance is going to close you off from meeting people, from opening new doors and experiencing your life fully. That's what thoughts really can take from you. Taking those sort of silly, irrational, fearful thoughts seriously, that's what they're going to take away from you. They're going to take away the experience of life. They're going to make you miserable. They're not going to make that thing come true. And don't find reassurance in me saying that. There is no reassurance. That thing could happen. And I know that's probably triggering and that's not what you want to hear. But there is no certainty that anything can not happen. But it's irrational. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's a doomsday, fearful nightmare situation. So why would we try to combat that thought system with logic and with reassurance? If we know it's irrational, if we know it's silly, why do we take it seriously? And again, we can come back to that mantra. My thoughts don't know the future. Your thoughts do not know the future. They are not fortune tellers. Any bad thing that may occur in your life in the future, you will not be able to predict the nature of that event. And the chances that the one thing that you're holding on to, that you're scared of, is the thing that's going to quote unquote ruin your life or be your nightmare scenario, think about how ridiculous that is. How slim the chances of whatever doomsday scenario you're imagining, how slim are the chances of that nightmare situation happening. And then on top of that, how slim are the chances that you are able to predict and obsess over that thing happening and it actually occurs on a random whim? Zero. 0%. So why do we keep playing this chess game with our thoughts? Why do we keep engaging with thoughts? Because we have yet to cement the belief that we are not our thoughts. We have yet to remove our identity from thoughts, and we have yet to acknowledge that thoughts are a biological mechanism being produced in our body and is not a identifier of us as awareness, as consciousness. All you have to do is sit with the discomfort of not knowing. And no matter how unbearable it feels, no matter how much you want to itch that scab, entertain or disprove those thoughts, don't do it. The way to freedom is literally just letting those thoughts be. It's forgetting about those thoughts. It's moving in a way and living in a way where our life is not determined and deterred in any way by those thoughts. I want you to imagine yourself in a situation where you're living life. There's a social event or whatever else in your life. There's an event coming up, and it triggers your fearful thoughts. It triggers your anxious thoughts. We have two ways we can go about it. Obviously, we can avoid the situation completely, which gives unsurmountable power to those fearful thoughts and continues to feed that thought loop, you'll wake up tomorrow and probably receive just as many of those thoughts because you did not show your mind that those thoughts are insignificant. Or we go and we try to enjoy ourselves while the thoughts are still present. So while we're feeling triggered, while we're feeling scared and fearful of those thoughts, we feel all of that, and yet we don't let it deter us from trying to enjoy and experience our life. And it's going to feel weird, it's going to feel rough, it's going to feel tense, but you'll return home or to your room or wherever else, and you'll experience a sort of newfound freedom. Because every time you tackle one of these triggers, one of these events, it adds a point to the scoreboard to your freedom away from those thoughts. So the most important thing to remember is to disengage with thoughts, not identify with thoughts, and freedom is 3 steps away. Number 1, no reassurance. Number 2, don't take any sort of compulsive behaviors to your environment, to people, to try to shape your life in any way in which you're avoiding these imaginary fears. And number 3, forget about them. Forget about them. You will live at a point where you will go a whole day without thinking about that fear or those fears. You will go a whole week without thinking about those fears or anxieties. You will go 2, 3, 4 weeks. You will go 6 months. You will go a year. You will go years without thinking about those fears or anxieties. And I know that may sound crazy right now, but it's the truth. And it's extremely possible. And people do it every day because we know how the mind works. This isn't a reality bending system. This isn't a mysterious truth of the universe. This is an overengaged, fear based mind. And by rewiring that mind and showing it behaviors and not engaging with those thoughts, we begin to change that mind. We begin to change the speed in which those thoughts arrive at us. We begin to change how much those thoughts arrive in general because our mind is always engaging and learning from the way that we react to those thoughts. So all we ever have to do is control our reactions to those thoughts and we can be free. We don't have to control other people, we don't have to control our environment, and we don't even have to control our mind. We just have to control our reactions to our own thoughts and sit with that discomfort and fear. That's it. Your thoughts are not fortune tellers. They do not know the future. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you as always. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, thank you as always. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.